What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Marvin Johnson for the $25 donation via the Cash App. Much respect to him for showing love to Too Raw for TV. Long time subscriber, salute to you. You know, I've really been thinking about this with Kevin Durant about, Stephen A. Smith saying that he thinks that he's a top 10 all-time player, which doesn't really mean much coming from him because I've heard him declare so many different players top 10 or potentially top 10 or top 15 and, whatever. But, yeah, man, the more I really think about this, I said, I think maybe KD's top 15, right? But honestly, I don't even know if he's really that high up. I don't know about that. Because look, most of us probably have Dirk Nowitzki somewhere top 20, top 25, right? So how can we honestly have Dirk top 20, 25, but even attempt to entertain the notion that Kevin Durant is somehow top 10? When you make the comparison between both of them, in some ways it's a wash, and in some ways you still can find a way to put Dirk ahead of him. Durant's a two-time NBA champion, but of course we put asterisks on that because of the simple fact that he joined a team that knocked him out of the playoffs just 6 weeks prior to him signing with them as a free agent. I mean, what star player does that? No star player from the era that, that I grew up watching. Dirk, of course, won a championship in 2011, but that championship meant so much to the city of Dallas. And I think sometimes Dallas fans forget how great Dirk is. I mean, I get Luka and all that, but don't forget about Dirk and what he did for the city of Dallas with that tremendous championship run that club went on. And I'm not saying it wasn't a great team. It was, but he didn't play with a whole bunch of superstars either. I'll get into that a little bit later on. Of course, Dirk was a Finals MVP. Both were league MVPs. Durant's a 15-time All-Star. Dirk was a 14-time All-Star. Durant is a 2-time All-Star Game MVP. Dirk never won All-Star Game MVP, although he did win a three-point contest back in the day, which is something that Durant's never done. Durant's a 6-time All-NBA first-teamer. Dirk's a 4-time All-NBA first-teamer. Durant's a 5-time All-NBA second-teamer. Dirk's a 5-time All-NBA second-teamer. Dirk's a 3-time All-NBA third-teamer. Durant was Rookie of the Year. Dirk was never Rookie of the Year. Matter of fact, Dirk infamously struggled his first couple years in the NBA to the point where he almost quit. Durant has had 2 50-40-90 seasons. Dirk has had 1. And yeah, you could argue Durant has had the better stats. But I also want to say this. Dirk played a good portion of his career in a different era where it was a little bit more difficult to score. Look, this is the biggest indictment, I think, on Kevin Durant's era, in my opinion, as far as the last few years. This shows you just how easy it's become to score in the NBA. Did you know that since his Achilles injury, Kevin Durant's, since he ruptured his Achilles, he's averaged more points, more rebounds, more assists, on better efficiency from 3-point range and from the field than he did prior to his injury when Kevin Durant was in his prime. If that's not the biggest indictment on how easy it is to score in this era, I don't know what to tell you. Even Dominique Wilkins, who famously played at a very high level after his Achilles rupture, you still saw a bit of a drop in his production, although he was still tremendous. Also with Dirk, you saw a tremendous rise in his level of play in the postseason. During his regular season career, Dirk averaged 20.7 points and 7.5 rebounds. However, during the playoffs, those numbers rose to 25.3 points and 10 rebounds per game. Especially dramatic is the rise in rebounds. And like I said, we all remember that run that Dirk had in 2011. Then you look at the teammates these guys had. Dirk, I mean, who was Dirk's best teammates? He played with Nash for a while, earlier on in his career. But I guess his best teammates were an older Jason Kidd, Jason Terry, I remember he played with Sean Marion, an old, nearly depleted, totally depleted Peja Stojakovic. The year that he won the MVP, his best teammate was Josh Howard. And not a knock on Josh Howard, but, you know, you get where I'm going with this. Like, Dirk had good teammates, but not Hall of Famers. Whereas Kevin Durant has played with Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, the fake Hall of Famer, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, whatever was left of Ben Simmons before he totally became useless, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and whoever the next super team he plays with once he gets traded again. And with all these great teams that he's played with, somehow he only has, and great players he's played with, I should say, and all these super teams he's played with, somehow he only has one more ring and one more Finals MVP than Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk also has more points in his career, more rebounds, more steals, more blocks, and fewer turnovers. His shooting percentages, even though a lot of his career was played in a much more difficult to score era, more defensive and more physical era for a lot of that career, his shooting percentages are close to being on par with Kevin Durant. I think he was around 47% for his career as far as shooting. I think 38% from downtown, about 88% from the line. And, you know, Dirk was a guy that wasn't blessed with the physical gifts that Kevin Durant has. As far as, you know, he wasn't the quickest guy. I'm not saying he wasn't he was a terrible athlete, but you know what I mean. And another thing, Kevin Durant, even though people say, well, Dirk wasn't a great defender, but Kevin Durant was never on any all NBA defensive teams. None of them. So that's not really an indictment on Nowitzki either. So when I look at all this, you look at the fact that Kevin Durant has not played on a team that's won 50 games since 2018-19. When you look at the fact that Kevin Durant somehow, at least from a performance standpoint, made the Warriors worse. Now, you can talk about the bench depletion all you want, but he joined a team that won 73 games the year before he got there. When he got there, they won 67 games his first year, 58 games his second year, and 57 games his last year there. So they were actually dropping. Now, was some of that the rest of the Western Conference getting better, or was some of that them basically coasting on talent? I mean, I don't know, but you tell me, because Kevin Durant said that one of the reasons he joined that team is because he felt it was going to be easier for him. It's going to be so easy. I'm sorry, but a guy with that type of mentality, I don't see how we can call him a top 10 player. I'm going to tell you something else, too, and this is not going to be popular to say, but quite honestly, we should penalize Steph Curry a little bit for him being on that team. Because let me ask you something. If George Gervin had joined the Lakers in the 80s, which was a possibility, but he didn't because he wanted to compete against them and not play with them. But he could have joined them. And Magic won 2 more titles, maybe even 3 more titles. Shouldn't we penalize Magic for being on a super, super duper team as well as Gervin? Will we even look at Magic's career to quite the same? I mean, if you're playing with George Gervin, I mean, come on, that's a Hall of Famer. And remember, Gervin just averaged 32 points a game in the 81-82 season. I'm talking about 83 season, if I'm not mistaken. So, an off season, I think. So, at the end of the day, I can't put Steph ahead of Magic because of that. Although, it's still an indictment against Kevin Durant that Curry was able to win a championship afterwards. I'm just saying, with KD there versus him not being there, would Cleveland have been beaten so badly those 2 finals? We'll never know. But still, that's an indictment against KD that they won championships before and after. So Draymond Green was 100% correct when he told KD that. And plus, KD's just not a leader, man. He's not a leader. And unlike some of the all-time greats, unlike the other top 10 players, Jordan, Bird, Magic, Wilt, King, all those guys, Kareem, all those guys you can name. If I remember correctly, and I'm going to double check this just to make sure. Yep. Somehow, the Sonics, which is the name of the franchise when he joined them, won fewer games in KD's first year than they won the year before. Usually a top 10 caliber candidate or top tier, top 10 talent, his sheer impact is going to improve their franchise. I mean, that type of player. I mean, Wilt, I think his first year, the Warriors won 17 more games the year before. Even Michael Jordan on that terrible drug-plagued Chicago Bulls squad, they won 11 more games than they did the year before. With Bird, they won 32 more games the year before. Hell, I can make an argument David Robinson is better than Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, all these stars, David Robinson was going deep into the playoffs with Vinny Del Negro. I mean, come on, man. You know what I mean? Will Perdue. Hell, David Robinson's first year, I think the Spurs won 35 more games than the year before he got there. So KD goes to the Sonics, soon to be the Thunder, and they won fewer games? Come on, man. He's not. No, I'm not even certain he's top 20. Honestly, he's George Gervin with a scowl. And George Gervin is probably about top 40. That's what he is. George Gervin with a scowl. George Gervin could score. I mean, could absolutely put the ball in the basket better than anybody else. But that didn't make him better than Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. This obsession with scoring is ridiculous. That's why Jason Kidd is one of the most underrated players of all time. Because people are so fixated, like Stephen A. Smith, with that hairline that's about 2 feet from his eyebrows. People are too obsessed with scoring. Anyway, that's all I got to say about Tim's guys.